Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? Welcome to episode 6 of Saturday Production Facts with me, Colin Andrew. And joining me once again is the brave and bold Barry O'Connell, as he's known around the Passage West area.
It's
So-
the alliteration. That's what gets everyone.
That's what gets him. That's what gets him. And this week we decided, ahead of the release of Loving You in Vain Acoustic, which is a very special release, we decided let's break down the original version a little bit. And, we decided let's break down the second verse because I think there's a lot going on there that people might be interested in.
Fair assessment.
Would you agree? Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? So, I suppose we'll start from the very beginning of the second verse with a drum fill that I like to call the middle drum fill, when we paid homage to 90s band Jimmy Eat World. It's a very popular drum fill, but I think we've used it to good effect here. Would you agree, Barry?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go with that. I mean, I think Ben Rowe's execution of this fill is just what helped us, see it through.
100%. A killer drummer. Now,
Absolutely.
Barry, would you like to show them a little bit of this drum
Sure,
fill?
let me turn over to the screen.
Go for it.
Here we go. Let's have a quick listen in context.
Find it hard.
It's that
Love
drop,
it.
isn't it? It's just coming back in on the 2. It's such a trialed and tested thing in like kind of pop punk, in pop in general as well. Just like that. Bah! On 2. Yeah.
But it really works. I think it was like there was a bit of a tip of the cap, but it was also just like, no, that feels right.
Yeah.
We would never do something just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Like it felt right. I do remember when we were recording the drums in Orlando, Florida,
Yeah.
that it was something we were like, let's just go for it. If we don't use it, we don't use it. But I think it was nearly very organic from the start. Even when we were demoing, we were like, let's do something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it gave that space to kind of fall back into the second verse, I think, which is why we were just like, yeah, absolutely. Just like let it open up as just for a moment and we're in. Yeah.
True. It's a nice reset. So I thought the next little moment, because I'm just picking out little moments.
Can have you
from
jumping
the
around the
second
grass.
verse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have you really on your toes. But it's a guitar swell line in that verse. And I suppose I just wanted to ask you how you achieved this.
Achieved the guitar swell. Well, like let's listen first so that we everyone knows what we're talking about, and then I'll explain what happened there. So
Find it hard to say it straight. 'Cause if I do, you leave without a trace.
and I'll give you a quick isolation there, just so you can really hear the swell. So yeah, there's a few things going on with the swell in general. It's actually happening both on the keys and on the guitars, just to kind of really accentuate that moment. But when we did like land back in on that chord, I was like holding the chord for my part because obviously like with you on the acoustic, kind of you're giving that rhythmic drive in the moment. But rather just like then strumming the chord again, I wanted to like make it a little more interesting. So I feel like we just wanted like that little bit of kind of a build without it being too, up front and in your face. So as a guitarist, we like swells. That's all I can say about that.
But it's a great effect. Like it really,
Well, yeah,
and it adds to the whole theme of what we were talking about in that verse as well. So
yeah. Well, there's just something so like satisfying to me about like a reversed swell. I love like taking like those kind of sonic textures and just like flipping them and kind of getting that kind of slope back in. It's very satisfying.
So in terms of effects, that's what it is. Then it's a
reversed chord which gives the effect of a swell. So like when I played the chord, like as the guitar rang out and fell off, when I flipped that, it actually made it kind of come in instead. Like so, yeah, that decay became a swell into the chord.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Now we can't talk about the second verse, Barry, without acknowledging your backing vocal.
I
Okay.
never expected this to get the traction that it seems to have, because even in your
It
like
really
in
does.
your live streams, there's just people like posting messages like saying like without a trace, which I think is hilarious.
Literally every time that I sing this song, somebody types in the comment section without a trace. I love it. I love it.
And it was another one of those like moments where we kind of like it started off as like a little gimmick where we were like, because in the demoing stage we were like throwing down ideas, and I think I like sent that to you. I was like, haha, look at this, because like you had the without a trace, and I just went for it, and you were just like, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those no hesitation moments. I was like, yeah, that's getting in there. Like,
We're totally listening to it, right? Yeah, we are.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, I should probably on solo as well. Here we go.
I can't stand to stay this way, suffocating, floating around your space.
You have to have the ooze as well.
Exactly. But it's such a great hook. We'll get into those oohs now in a second. But I love it. I love it. And people would be wronged. People would feel wronged if I didn't acknowledge it. But it perfectly complements the whole section as well, because it needs like this dreamy, floaty thing. Like the next line acknowledges like suffocating, floating around your space. Like it's very literally like you're floating around space. So
Yeah.
and it's also just a really nice hooky line.
Yeah.
So fair play.
I actually really like as well, because obviously like I did the funny high falsetto thing, and then you had like the lower harmony, but like I think the tones in both of our voices blended quite well at that particular moment, so it worked out on many fronts.
It actually hits really strong areas for both of us vocally. You know, places where like you're very comfortable in falsetto, and I'm kind of very comfortable in that sort of catching the raspiness a little bit. So that actually the two tones together blend really nicely, even though our intentions with the line are slightly different.
Yeah.
The two tones blend really nicely, which I think is great. Another moment that I picked out, which I thought
You're
these
you're hammering into them today, Colin. Go for it.
I'm baiting it out, lad. I don't waste any time. And actually, that is kind of ties in, because the point of this next thing that I wanted to acknowledge was it's about momentum, and it's a thing you hear very regularly, but it's the octaves on the keys. It's kind of like it's a trope. It's not necessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a cliche, but you do hear it very regularly in pop music especially, but you do hear it for a reason, because it creates a lot of momentum. So maybe you could give them a little blast.
It's like just one of those. It's like pulled from that bag of tricks that, like, you know, a lot of arrangers and producers can use if they just need that kind of quick fix momentum thing. Not saying that I rushed through, but it was just kind of like a go-to kind of thing. And I think also because obviously I like Queen to the Stone Age and Royal Blood and bands like that I quite enjoy listening to. They're mad for doing it as well. It's not just like applicable to pop music. It's obviously falls into many other genres as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's kind of from that midway point in verse 2, isn't it? So let's just hop in.
I can't stand to stay this way, suffocating, floating around your space. Tell me, do you really feel?
It's kind of like, and we've described this for other sounds before, but it's nearly like that hospital monitor.
Yeah.
You know, and because it's consistent, you know everything's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It gives you something to grab hold of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that.
And another, these are more subtleties in the arrangement that I really enjoy. We matched, so there's a backing vocal line that comes off the back of the without a trace. So the without a trace fades out into oohs, or a particular ooh sound.
Yeah.
And you've matched these oohs with your sliding guitar line that's in there as well. So maybe you could play a little bit of that.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
I can't stand to stay this way, suffocating, floating around your space.
Yeah, so for that guitar line, I mean, I'm assuming everyone like will know what a slide is, but yeah, I basically like used I didn't use a glass bottle slide. I used a metal one, a Dunlop. I can't remember what size it was, but yeah, just to kind of, because we have like a kind of this thing that we do a lot with backing vocals where we kind of gliss ourselves into different notes, like sliding from one to the other. Just wanted to like mimic that with the guitar as like a voice to kind of slide into each note that was happening alongside the backing vocals.
Class. And it's sort of, again, adding to it's word painting, from your Leaving Cert music vocabulary. It's adding to the space thing. Maybe even, I'm going to just call it now, let's call it a nod to Bowie and Space Oddity or something like that.
Okay. I'll take that any day of the week, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Barry, I've absolutely lifted through this. I've flown through it, but there's some really interesting moments in that whole second verse. And it's like keeping the song interesting, not that it needed too much help, but that's what it's about. Like, it's little moments, and the song opens and develops the further you go through it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Plenty of ear candy.
Exactly, yeah. You're the candy man. That's what I call you, brother.
the candy man can.
All right. That's like literally loads of information. We've packed so much information into that. And so the acoustic version of Loving You in Vain is coming out on Friday the 21st, which is going to be next Friday. So you all have that to look forward to. And maybe when that comes out, we can do a little arrangement breakdown of that as well.
Yeah, good fun.
So that could be cool. But that concludes, I suppose, episode 6 of Saturday Production Facts. Barry,
yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me. Very nice. That's great. I was going to say, do you want to play us out maybe with the second verse there of Loving You in Vain?
Sure, I'll give you the unabridged, the unmixed version. Here we go.
Find it hard to say it straight, 'cause if I do, you leave without a trace. And I can't stand to stay this way, suffocating, floating around your space.
See you next week, folks. Thank you very much. Goodbye.